This music is from Africa, right? But it's a mix of southern Spain, which is really Muslim, if you know anything about flamenco. It's all Muslim, right? So, and then you got North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, right? And this music at first wasn't music the way we think of music in the United States of America. This music is the music of resistance, slave resistance. This is not to make white people dance and comfortable. This is for black people. You know what I mean? My father was black Puerto Rican. My mother's light skinned like y'all. That's why everything's organized in my house. Otherwise, but that's the honest part about this music is that it is not, I was telling Dave, can I call you Dave? That when I started playing this music, it wasn't to be in a band. I had no clue about being in a band. I started playing this music because it was part of our religion, our spirituality. Not Christianity, not Jesus, none of that stuff. It was Ifa. That's the name, the term. And all these rhythms that we learned, we played in ceremonies for Ifa, for nature, right? The wind, the fire, the ground, all that has life. And that's part of our music, part of our upbringing, the way we dance, the way we move, everything has to do with that. Once we get to America, we start shopping at Walmart, we forget all about that shit. Go to McDonald's, we give a shit about Ifa. But that's part of it. And in the Caribbean, it got mixed with the Holy Roman Catholic Church, right? So the slaves had their religion, but they couldn't practice it in front of the Roman Catholic Church because it was frowned upon. Maybe the birth of apartheid, where you have separate people, black over here and white, which we still have here in the United States. We're not all happy together, woohoo! We still have that thing. Otherwise, we have rock and roll and then R&B, or blues, and then we still separate things, But in the island, we don't do that so much, you know what I mean? We're kind of mixed. We have native blood, we have the European blood, of course, and we have African blood. And my dad used to say, once you put chocolate in the milk, you can't take it out. At the end of the day, this is very important to understand this music. It isn't the way we think, or the way we think here in the United States of America. That was really hard for me when I started playing in bands when I was a little kid, because we played for the religion. Everything had a purpose. Every rhythm had a purpose to make you dance, to sing to this deity. And each deity had a different rhythm and a different chant. So, but as the music the hemisphere started becoming, once they built the Empire State Building, forget about it, everything changed, right? They got radio now, and now they're selling commercial, and they want people to dance. They got the evolution of music, which I'm not an expert on. But I am an expert at making fat people dance. That's what I'm an expert at. But the other thing is just, because that's what this is, Every time I do a show, I'm looking at the fattest, the saddest person. Shake that knee, shake that knee. That's what this instrument is for, right? For dancing, They use it for religious purpose. You're dancing in that religious or in that ceremony. They call it religion, but it's not really religion. It's more a belief system. All Native people have that belief system. They had it here or wherever, People who are not part of the Christian diaspora have this nature worship thing. So this is very important to that, this instrument. Now, in Africa, it didn't exist this way. It was something else. Djembe, a million other tribal things. But once the Africans were kidnapped and brought to the New World, everything got kind of smashed. Nobody kind of knew whatever. But in Cuba, unlike Haiti or the other islands, any of the Saxonian islands, meaning England, in Cuba, the Spanish were ruled, as you know, for about 1,000 years by the Moors, by Africans. It's part of their culture, it's part of our language in Spanish, is this Muslim Arabic thing. When we say I hope, we say ojalá in Spanish. I hope, o Allah. That's part of our language, part of our culture. Quite interesting. A lot of people, when they speak, they're speaking Spanish. No, let me tell you something. When those guys got in those boats, they weren't the Spanish people you think with blonde hair and blue eyes. They were pirates. They were motherfuckers. You know what I mean? They were Berbers. There were, 1,000 years of that. coming looking for something else, because those wars in Europe, Christian, Muslim, all that was incredible thing, and it affects the New World. So like, take for instance, you take the city of what? The city of Constantinople, right, in Turkey. There was a little bridge there that allowed the Europeans to go from Europe to Asia. Am I correct? Right. Mehmet said, fuck you. We're going to take over this Roman city of Constantinople and change it. Kicked ass. Called it Istanbul. Everybody's searching to get to the east. They go through Cape of Good Hope, I think it's called, down in Africa in the bottom, but the currents are awful and everybody's ships are crashing. They don't know what to do. Finally, this half Spanish, half Jewish from Genoa, he gets some money from the Queen Isabella. So that got an idea, you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. And hence here we are. All had to do with those Christian Muslim things back then, right? 1200, 1300, 1400s. So this to us is still fairly new. It feels good because, we come here to America, we still speak Spanish. We still have Muslim tendencies. We have Arabic tendencies. We have African tendencies. We don't know what the hell we are. We're not as sure of ourselves as Americans. We are this and we are that, and we're very sure. But your music changes culturally, right? It's not defined. For us, it's defined. And this defines that music, this instrument. And the rhythm, that go along with this music. So you all have sticks. Everybody got sticks? Yeah, don't play them yet. I hate the sound of sticks. Sticks by themselves is a horrible sound. So I was telling David the other day that the high end of this instrument is the important part of the instrument. The low end is, I can play those melodies that, that Europeans understand. Right? But this, that's what drives what you call Latin music or salsa. The term salsa even is a new term that they started calling Cuban music salsa. Why? Cuba had just turned communist. And the last thing Americans want to know is about giving people who haven't worked for it some money. Communism was bad. They were godless people. They were whatever they were. My mom was a communist. She's a pain in the ass like a normal person. I was always in school. Not the communist. Hey, my mother's a communist. What is that? She's a pain in the ass like your mother. That's why it's called salsa, right? A mix or whatever. Some radio guy in Venezuela, I think, invented the term. Right, this music is, but they used that term in the music in the 30s and 40s in America. Give it salsa, dale salsa, give it, whatever, people screaming, whatever. So, this renaming and cultural changes has been part of this forever. So I'm just gonna give you that the high end of this thing and the low end, but up here, not here like a tom-tom, right? American music, when you hear American music, this is where your rhythms, I'm gonna say y'all, because even though I was born here, I didn't speak English until I was like 8, living in New York City. Hence my stupid accent. So yeah, I sound like an old Jewish man. So at the end of the day, the rhythms that come from America are this. This is it. I'm gonna give it to you. Shh, don't tell nobody. That's what you all got. That's what you all got. And it wasn't until the black thing, the African thing came in, that this started happening to that same rhythm. Watch. That's the importance of Africa in the New World. You can't, look, and every time I talk to people now especially, they want to extract Africa from the culture. Somehow the Queen of England or whatever it is, that's the important thing, right? And excuse me for expounding on this, but remember I said this music is music of resistance, right? It's like, hey, f*** you in your Saxonian ways. You know what I mean? F*** you in your monolinguistic ways, speak one language. We speak a bunch of languages and have 10,000 religions, 15,000 gods. We don't even know who the f*** we're praying to. Because we got that beautiful mix, but that beautiful mix makes this music beautiful too. You know what I mean? So we're not here to define historically or culturally what that is. Here maybe to explain it a little bit. So if I go into tangent, forgive me. You know, I need medicine. Sorry. I need strong medicine to calm me down, my nerves, you know.
Sure you haven't had some already?
I don't drink. I don't do any of that stuff. You know, I'm just, you know, because I was raised to everything. Once I started getting good at this, I started taking it seriously. You know what I mean? This is all I did. I didn't go to movies. I didn't have girlfriends. Any of that. This is all. Imagine, I'm 6 years old in the South Bronx. We're playing to the E5 culture. You know? This is how I grew up. It's really interesting. You know what I mean? All my friends were eating pizza in New York, whatever they were doing in New York. And there I was, just practicing, you know, and obsessed with rhythms and singing to the orishas. We call them orishas. You call them saints, angels, whatever you want to call them. Orishas. And I was obsessed with this. Had nothing to do with playing in a band. Tito Puente. Nothing. Had nothing to do with that. That was just, you know, bullshit. Trying to make a living doing that. Forget about that. Stupid. You know what I mean? This is all about me, spirituality, our culture, our people, over here in the middle of all this, whatever this was, you know what I mean? The number 2 train or whatever the hell was going on, the 42nd Street, whatever, all that nonsense. But I didn't participate in that. Everything was this. Since I was little. I'm 70 years old, I still have the same energy I had when I was a little kid. But I had the same love for this and respect, you know, and respect and discipline. Because it takes a long time to play this music correctly. You know, I'm just dabbling here with y'all, but you got to dedicate your lives to get this the way I do it. Your whole lives. You could dabble. It's kind of like, you know, you like putting on a costume or going playing Halloween or whatever. But this is, you have to, if you're serious about it, you have to dedicate your life to this thing, culturally and historically. You know what I mean? It's very important. My dad, when we were little, we lived in Puerto Rico for 1.5 years. And then we went to Cuba for 2 years. We were good communists. Red hats, even though red hats mean something different now, you know. But then we had red hats and we picked coffee and plantains and, you know, we lived that life because you have to live that life to be that life. Just can't read about it. You know what I mean? Just can't read about it. I'm sorry. You gotta, I tell everybody, you wanna know about this music? Go to Cuba. Go right there. Forget about your politics. Forget about what's right or wrong. Go there, be in the poverty of this music, because this music only grows. Like, you know what I mean? If you go to the Mississippi Delta, it's all dirty and right, but that music that comes out of there is it goes to Chicago, and it goes to New York, but it comes from a place of I don't know how to describe it without offending people. Not of darkness, but of a struggle, but there's joy within that struggle. Wow, that's something important. Joy within the struggle. But struggle gives it meaning. Believe it or not, you know, especially people, you know, slaves in America in the New World, that they took nothing and turned it into something that most Americans want to imitate. The language, the dress, they want to imitate, but they don't want to go through that pain. Can we dance to Marvin Gaye, but do we have to go through that bullshit? No, you don't. You're lucky you don't, but you're not going to be Marvin Gaye. Because Marvin Gaye these people went through some shit. They passed it down. That's DNA. That's information. This music, this resistance, if you go to Cuba, it's going to be in places that you don't want to walk into. It's all black people. It smells like something you don't never understand because, you know, it smells like food, like sweat, like work, like misery. You've never been around that, but this where this comes from. You can't learn this in a school like this. You could get introduced to it, right? This is a conga drum, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much. You know, your parents have to sign here and you have to go over there and do whatever the That's not learning. That's just, you know, ice skating. You know, that's not the real deal. You know what I mean? And if you really want to, I mean, you have to do that. You have to live that life. Be a part of that life. That adds to this, believe it or not. It does. It does give it, you know, kind of this meaning, this depth. You know what I mean? Not just one-dimensional. You know, I have a, you know, I'm like 3D for real, you know? So the high end of this thing, That's the important part. Don't play it, don't do it, don't act like you know what you're doing, because you don't know what you're doing until I tell you. Quarter note, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Eighth note, and then right from there. Quarter note. 3, 4. Now we call that rhythm kata. There's no scientific reason for calling it kata, except that's the sound. Kata, 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 kata. See that? So if you all take your sticks, if you have sticks, if it starts getting loud and crazy, I'm gonna stop you like a kindergarten class. Three, four. You're doing sticks. I don't want to hear all the noise. That I could tell was f***ing it up. You don't have to play. You should play. I like it. No. Now the 2-part phrase, right? So there's a second half to it. The watch. Da-ka, da-ka, da-da-ka, da-da. Da-da-ka. And it'll mix it when I play the clave. Right? Toko, topo, ka-da-ka, da-ka. I'll do the first part. Second part is, right? Toko, toko, ka-da-ka, da-ka. You know what you do? Good. Oh, you people cute. Ka-da-ka, da-ka. Ka-da-ka, da-ka. Right? 3, ah. Right. You going? Yeah, go. Now, do my students in real life, you will do that for 3 days non-stop. You got it? Try, buddy. Go ahead. I'm going to count you in. 3, ah. Okay, good. Now, follow me. So I'm going to play along with this rhythm. Okay? Nobody else plays so I can hear what he's doing. Okay? You ready? Yeah. Okay, you start it off. Good, man. You play drums?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, you're cheap. Get out of here. That was good because it's hard to follow that when I'm playing. Because I'm not in this music. Nobody's really playing the one. You know what I mean? Like that Indian thing. That's it. It ain't happening. It's all this syncopated shit. You know what I mean? And because we dance like that. Well, good. So now we know that kata is the basis of this thing. You heard me play with the young drummer over here. I'm gonna use you again as an example. I like your hat. Come on. On top of that kata, or underneath that kata, we have what we call clave. This rhythm. This rules that, rules this, rules my feet, rules my girlfriend, rules my wife, rules the car I drive. It just rules it. This drives you. And then you go to a place, there's 3 claves, 2 claves, 5, no, 1 clave. Just the rhythm. You either start in the middle of the phrase or the end of the phrase. So only one. Toko toko kodoko toko. Kodoko toko kodoko toko kodoko toko. Right and forward and back is the same shit. You know what I mean? Like humanity, it's the same. This gives funk to the music. This makes it funky. This makes it what it is. Reason why you dance. And that happens in all black music. And when I say black, I'm using American apartheid language because that's where you all listen. You're white people or black people. That's American apartheid language. But it's really Africa, right? And I play with authority. Not loud, with authority. Another thing about this stupid music is what? That we emphasize the 1 and 3, not the 2 and 4. Why? Because the 2 and 4 was kind of a Northern African thing that didn't develop with the music. 6/8 Africa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's the dance. 1 and 3. So if you clap for the 1 and 3, I'll play clave. Ready? So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 5. Good. 1, 2, 3. So stop it now. So what happens is that the rhythm, when we sing it, that accent, we go what? Okay? Where'd you buy that hat? Bird Eyes? Oh, I've been from Florida a long time. I said Bird Eyes. Yeah, play. Don't rush it. Now see how hard? That's harder than the kata. Keep going. Keep going. Follow me. Stay right here. Don't fuck it up. You'll become something when you grow up. Yeah, man. Yeah, don't go nowhere. Keep playing with you. Yeah, man, that's good. So that rhythm is called clave, which in Spanish is like key signature. That's the classical term for it. So when you're reading a score, you read the key signature, right? Tells you how many sharps, how many flats, what the tempo is, or the Africans call this clave. This is the key signature. Right? So it's pretty cool. So play the clave again. I'm gonna show you something else. Relax with it. Good, that's good. Keep doing that. Don't stop. Let me look cool. Somebody's gonna take a picture. What? Stop with you, goddamn. So let's do it again, the 1 and 3, right? With the clave, I'll play it, and then you're gonna continue. Now, you saw what I was doing the piano. It sounded very American, right? It sounded kind of like American harmony, R&B-ish, whatever. There is no difference in the musics between R&B or black music in America and black music in the Caribbean. There is none. There's cultural differences, right? But if I take Soul Train dancers from the 60s and 70s and superimpose Cuban music, it's the same body movement, except I move it over so we could hit the 1 and 3, as opposed to them go da, Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, move it over. 2, 3. So you can see move it. Very African. 1, 2, 3. Ah. Good. Good, good. You know what? You have to internalize that for life. You know what I mean? You do it here for whatever time we got left, right? But if you're serious about this, now you go home. You have now you'll be at the mall. Yeah, look at that Puerto Rican guy. I bet you he does the 1 and 3 too. Look at him. Look at honey. Look at him. They smell like plantains, but then I say that, but I love my people. I make fun of my people, but I love my people. So now you understand. You understand kata, clave, and the 1 and 3. So if you pay attention to this, it seeps in. You know what I mean? Through the pores. And when you leave here, if you have this thing that says, oh man, I want to continue this bit of knowledge, you got YouTube University. You know what I mean? Where you can go there. Afro-Cuban 3-2 clave. There's 15 black people from Cuba. Oh shit, I'm at the right spot. Okay? 1, 2, 3, ah. Woo! Good. Now who thinks they can play kata with that kind of authority? You can? All right, buddy. Oh yeah, you can. Okay, good. I know you can. He's a plant. He's a plant. All right, I need you to come up here though. Stay next to Charlie. Here we go. Ready? 1 and 3, kata and clave. Hold on, let me hear the kata and clave by themselves. 1, 2, 3, ah. Now, see this? Good. Stay there. It's almost over. Let's see you get tired. You won't get tired. Maybe Charlie get tired. Sure. He played. Don't get lost. Keep playing. You don't know the signal. No, that was good. Hey, give him a hand. Thank you. Yeah, Frank, Charlie, you too. Good, man. Thank you. So now you saw kata in action, right? You saw with the conga tumbao. You guys can stay right there. No, don't stay with me. Bring a chair, 'cause we're gonna be here all day. So this tumbao, this what we call tumbao, right? This thing, right? 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 4 and 1. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 4 and 1. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and Four and one and two and three and 4 and 1. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Billy, Billy. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 4 and faster. 3 and 4 and 1. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Pay attention, man. Good. Don't go on. Good job. You're a professional. So you saw how I was counting this music, right? I saw you counting. You were mouthing it like a really. You don't want to do that. But this thing here, and I was telling this to David that, and if I play this rhythm, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. If you hear this 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2. That bombo, that 2, just play the clave. Ka, 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 ka. 1. What? See that? Keep playing it, goddammit. We got a band. Gumbi Ortiz and the Misfits. Featuring Charlie. Good, Charlie. So the same thing happens here, because this is just an interpretation of this. That's all this is. I mean, I don't mean to minimize all, that's all it is, because you have to be coordinated. But if you understand these rhythms, the high end, the kata and the clave, again, together, 1, 2, 3, ah. Together, ta ka ka ta ka 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 ka ta ka. Clave. You go ta ka ta ka 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 ta ka ta ka ta ka. Right. See your relationship? We go. Do it again, but faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, ah. We had a band. She loves you, yay! Good. So now that you understand those terms, kata, clave, and how complicated culturally this is, it ain't what people think. So when you see a guy playing, you should know what he's doing. Maybe now, right? Oh yeah, they're trying. Because if you don't hear that, it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? They just make it up. But for me, when I wake up in the morning, I stay. This is what I do. I start about 4:30, 5 o'clock. This is called cachapa. You don't have to learn these notes because who cares? You're not going to use this, Hey, I have a hamburger, 2 cachapas, and you're not going to use it in life ever. But, here it is. Don't make no sense. Play the clave, just the clave. Ya ven, kata. There you go. Yeah? Faster. Keep playing. So what happens when I do cachapa is the introduction into the guaguancó. Now explain that rhythm in a second. Why? So imagine all that. Cachapa in the 2. Oh, Susana, yo con bacalao, habichuela y terquina y aguacate por el lado. All that high-end shit. Now use drum technique. So I'm talking to myself. I'm answering, I'm asking, I'm stating, all here. And that happens in this music all the time. You state, conversation, right? But the nuance of the kata, clave, and all these rhythms come together. But you got to know what the hell you're talking about. Otherwise, it's bullshit. So I go see people play. I'm like, oh shit, they don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because there's nuances to this thing. You only get it with hanging out with a guy like me. And we only talk. If you hang out with me, we only talk about this for about 5 minutes. The rest of the time, we're mowing the lawn, cooking. All that goes on before this happens. Very important, So, but that's my morning, because this drum, it's got so many, the bass sound, muffle sound, open tone, right? What you call it, when you play time, muff, right? It's important because in Spanish or any phonetic language, the vowels ain't like in English. English vowel, A-E-I-O-U. We say A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. Right? That's how you could tell somebody speaks English that will speak Spanish with American vowels. Buenos dias. Gumbi. Gumbi, yeah, that's the part. Yeah, Gumbi, is Gumbi. Actually, my real name is Gamaliel. That's my real name, Gamaliel Ortiz. Gamaliel is a biblical name, referring to Catholic. So they named me Gamaliel But when I went to school and I started learning to speak English in 4th grade, no kids in American schools could say Gamaliel. So it had to be like, poison. So this little kid named Harvey the Groat, I'll always remember the little kid. Yeah, Gumbi, like the cartoon character. But I didn't know what the Gumbi was. Somebody had to tell me. I had to go home and watch the cartoon character with the little green horse. Gumbi and Puffy. Hey, Gumbi. And so then, the name kind of stuck, but all my Cuban brothers and Puerto Rican brothers, they don't say Gumbi. Like they hear Gumbi. Right? Gumbi, using Spanish vowels. But I'm going to remind everybody that this thing here, this tumbao, this music is special. If you take it serious, and you don't have to take it serious like you play Latin music all day, but this takes a lifetime, like I said before. Understanding then music, right? Harmony and blah, blah, blah. But to understand this African thing, Afro-Cuban thing, from the Caribbean, because, New Orleans has got some of it too, a little bit. Not as much as Cuba, but it has, there's cousins, you know what I mean? New Orleans and the Caribbean, they're cousins, Even the name of this instrument, conga, comes from a Dahomey word that means parade. So when you see people doing the conga dance, they're actually saying it's a parade. And the drum for the parade is a conga, the parade drum. This is but in the streets in Cuba, it's ikamu, right? Or tambora, anything but conga. I think Ricky Ricardo f***ed it up for everybody. He married Lucy, and then he changed just f***ed it up for everybody. But I think I'm finished. I hope you had a good time, really, you know what I mean? And